All right, for numbers 3 and 4, here we go. This is a sum of two cubes right now. Hopefully you realize that. 27x to the third comes from 3x to the third. 64 comes from 4 to the third. So I'm going to go ahead and factor this. Hopefully you already have the formula written down somewhere else. But it's going to be same, opposite, positive with the signs. And I put 3x here and 4 there because that's my a and that's my b. And then I would have a squared right here. So that's going to be 9x squared. Once again, that's 3x squared. Then I have a times b, so that's 3x times 4, which is 12x. And then last but not least, I have b squared here, so 4 squared is 16. So let me go ahead and erase the things I don't need now. Ooh, I need to make that. There we go. Because I have to remember and remind myself that this is all still equal to 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is the easy part. I'm going to take 3x plus 4 and set that equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 4 from each side. 3x equals negative 4, then divide both sides by 3. X is equal to negative 4/3. Then I'm going to go ahead and use I have to use the quadratic formula for this. So it would be the opposite of b plus or minus big square root b squared, so it's negative 12 squared, minus 4 times a times c. This is all over 2 times a. So big numbers here, big numbers. It's going to be okay. So the opposite of negative 12 is a positive 12. And here I'm going to have 144. That's a positive 144. And this is going to be a minus 576. This is all over 18. Okay. So this is 12 plus or minus square root of, and 144 minus 576 is negative 432. This is all over 18. Now I know that 432 can be divisible by something, so we're going to try and break it down. And it is, wow, okay. I'm doing some work on my calculator right now. Ooh. Wait a second. It's 4 times 36. Oh, okay. So 432 divided by 144 is 3. Okay, so 432, if I have that, that's the same thing as 144 times 3. Okay, now since it's negative, I'm going to throw a negative 1 in here as well because we have to work with i's on this one. So here's 12 plus or minus, and the square root, there's 18 down here. So what's the square root of 144? 12. What's the square root of negative 1? I. And what's the square root of 3? 3. Now I can go ahead and do my little heart thing here, and all of those, each of those numbers is divisible by 6. So my final answers, my last two solutions for this problem are going to be 2 plus or minus 2i root 3 all over 3. So there's 1, and here's 2 and 3, because there's a plus and a minus there. All right. So hang on. Do this, slide over here. All right, now we have 4 terms. Whenever you see 4 terms, you have to start thinking at first, okay, factor by grouping. So once again, here's an example of factoring by grouping, and then we'll solve it. So these two have an x squared in common. When you take out the x squared, you're left with 3x plus 6. Then, with these two, since that's a negative especially, we take out a negative 4, because they both have a 4 in common. When you divide each of these by a negative 4, we get x, and here's the tricky part. If you divide that by a negative 4, negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a positive 2. Okay, now I realize my issue here. I start this problem over, or at least this part over. They didn't match. Those two sets of parentheses did not match. So instead of just taking an x squared out, I also need to take out a 3, so 3x squared. I am rusty today. When you take out a 3x squared, you're left with x plus 2. Now they match. Now we can continue this problem. So When you factor out the x plus 2, and I'm going to try and color code this a little bit here, we're left with 3x squared minus 4. And this is all still set equal to 0, because all we did was factor the left side. Now is when I get my solutions. X plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 2, I get x equals negative 2 as one of my zeros. Then I have to set 3x squared minus 4 equal to 0. I add 4 to both sides. I get 3x squared equal to 4. Divide by 3. I get x squared is equal to 4/3. I square root both sides, and this one's going to be weird, all right? So first off, my answer is going to have a plus or minus. I have to know that going into it, because when you square root both sides, you get two solutions, one positive and one negative. Now, this is the same thing as the square root of 4 over the square root of 3. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 3 is the square root of 3. But we can't have a root in the denominator, so I have to rationalize it by multiplying by that denominator over itself. So then I get 2 root 3 over 3. Because root 3 times root 3 is the square root of 9. What's the square root of 9? It's 3. Now, this 3 is inside and that 3 is outside, so you can't do anything else. So those are my other two solutions. So I have one right here, and the other two right there. Thank you very much.